Welcome back to the best superhero podcast this side of Scott Lang. At least that's what someone told me. That someone may have been myself, but I'm not going to argue it, right? So, welcome to Superhero Deep Dive. I am your host, as always. I'm Jason, and I have a pretty decent episode. I'm not unhappy with it. I wish there was more we could do, but that's where I'm going to refer to you guys on this. Let me get my normal disclaimers out and we'll get into it. So, the information is pulled from different sources across the internet and may or may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero. Also, if you guys ever want to reach out to me, I am on Twitter and Instagram under Super Deep Dive, and I use the hashtag Superhero Deep Dive. You can catch me on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. If you do, please subscribe, comment, like the videos, whatever you need to do. I would really immensely appreciate it. And I do respond to all the comments, even if it's just a like on it to acknowledge that I've seen it. But the conversation may be over. I do respond to everything. Like, I do acknowledge every comment. Also, you can listen to me on Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the day on Outworld Fleet Radio, and their website is www.un-conventional.com/radio. New videos are uploaded on YouTube every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So there's that. And you can email me directly at b4itall, so b4itall@yahoo.com. Okay. This week, I am talking about the Summers brother, the middle one, Havok. His real name is Alexander or Alex Summers. Alex Summers was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he is the second of three known sons of Christopher Summers, who's a United States Air Force major and test pilot, and his wife, Catherine Ann. When Alex was a boy growing up in Anchorage, Alaska, his father took the family for a flight in their airplane, which came under attack by a Shi'ar spaceship. As the plane caught fire and was crashing, his parents fastened Alex and his brother Scott into a parachute and pushed them off the plane in hopes that they would survive. His brother, Scott, hit his head and was in a coma for a short while. Scott turns out to be Cyclops, if you didn't know. So, there's that. The Summers boy were recovered and put into an orphanage, and Alex was soon adopted, though Scott remained there for much of his childhood. Alex was raised by the Blandings, whose son Todd had died in a car accident. They tried to make Alex fit into their image of their son, and he tried to do as best as he could. And when the boy responsible for Todd's death kidnapped Alex and his foster sister Haley, Alex manifested his powers for the first time, incinerating the boy. Dang. That's heavy. That is heavy. Mr. Sinister, an evil geneticist who was obsessed with the Summers bloodline, appeared eager, yet surprised that Alex's potential exceeded Scott's, despite the fact that he seemed to lack control over his gift. Sinister placed Cyblocks on both Alex and Haley's minds, causing them to forget what had happened that night. Alex went on to study and earn a degree in geophysics at college. There he first met the original X-Men and learned that Cyclops is his brother. His mutant powers became apparent when he was kidnapped by the living pharaoh, who declared Alex the only being able to rival his power. Okay, so we need to keep these in mind. Like, his power could exceed Cyclops's. The living pharaoh said that, he was the only being whose power could rival his. The two shared the same cosmic energy absorption abilities in reverse proportion to each other, and by locking Alex in a shielded cell, the Pharaoh was able to absorb enough cosmic energy to become the living monolith. The X-Men fought a losing battle against the virtually unstoppable monolith until Alex managed to free himself, and the monolith turned back into the living Pharaoh. Alex's mutant power at first seemed to manifest itself only when he was near death. He was unable to control it and feared its immense power. Alex was later captured by Larry Trask and his Sentinels, who were bent on controlling or eradicating all mutants. Trask then fashioned a costume for Alex that would help him control his powers, and Alex was given the codename Havok. Trask turned out to be a mutant himself, and the Sentinels were defeated by the X-Men. Havok lost control of his powers, however, and his excess energy was absorbed by Sauron. Havok then gained control of his powers. That's a weird way to say it, but that happened too, I guess. So this dude is just immensely powerful, and we're going to get into it more and more, because this is crazy. Alright, Havok actively joined the X-Men team and began a relationship with Lorna Dane, or Polaris, who we covered last week, much to the anger of Iceman, who was romantically interested in her as well. While the senior X-Men were in the Savage Land, Havok and Polaris were approached by Professor X about the imminent invasion of the alien Nox. During this time, the couple fell in love. Because why not? During an alien invasion is the perfect time to fall in love. With the original X-Men, Havok and Polaris were captured by Krakoa, the Living Island, and were rescued by the new X-Men. Havok and Polaris then quit the team's active membership along with the most of the original members. Now the new X-Men, that's the one with Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, stuff like that. Havok was again captured by the Living Pharaoh, because that's what the Living Pharaoh does, and was this time rescued by Spider-Man and Thor. Havok and Polaris were occasional members and allies of the X-Men for years. They alternated between doing graduate work and earning a postgraduate degree in the American Southwest, where they occasionally encountered the Hulk, and helping out Maura McTaggart at her facility for genetic research on Muir Island, off the coast of Scotland. It was during their stay on Muir Island that Havok helped the X-Men battle Proteus. Eventually, Alex learned that Corsair and the Starjammers was really his father. Yeah. During one of their adventures, Polaris was possessed by the mutant Marauder Malice, ending the romantic relationship at the time. Havok then sought out and rejoined the X-Men. During this period, Havok became involved with Madeline Pryor. What is it about those summer boys and, like, the Jean Grey redhead? Even, because Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey, so what's up with that? Both of them had been rejected by their previous lovers. Pryor's then-husband, Cyclops, had left her for Jean Grey. Wait, then-husband, Cyclops. So they were married. I would have a big problem dating my brother's ex-wife or anything like that. Yeah, that's crazy. That's really gross to me. Like, that's like borderline offensively gross. But anyways, Madeline Pryor was manipulated by Nasrith and became the Goblin Queen. She attempted to use Havok to help take control over the world and transform it into a demonic realm. Havok eventually came to his senses, thankfully, and Madeline killed herself after discovering she was a clone of Jean Grey. Because why wouldn't she notice before? Like, I look just like this person. We have similar powers. I'm evil and she's good. What could possibly happen? Idiots. Bad storyline. I'm sorry. I love Marvel. Bad story. Alright. Havok befriended Wolverine and others, and they shared adventures. While they were vacationing in Mexico, they were targeted by a terrorist cell. Because why not, right? They defeated the cell, but were fooled by a damsel in distress who was actually a member of the terrorist group. Havok woke up in a hospital in the care of Nurse Scarlett McKenzie, the assassin without disguise. She manipulated Havok and made him fall in love with her. Dang it, dude. You can't even go on vacation right. Scarlett was working for the Russian terrorist, Dr. Neutron, who was Jimmy's father, apparently, and Meltdown. And if you get that joke, you get it. If you don't, I'm sorry. Alright. Having previously failed to charge up Meltdown's superpowers with the energy released from Chernobyl nuclear disaster, they wanted to use Havok as a conduit to channel the energy of an atomic reactor into Meltdown. Scarlet fed Havok with false information that terrorists were trying to sabotage a nuclear power station. When he ventured into the heart of the reactor, he found it reaching critical limit. According to plan, Havok tried to absorb the dangerous radiation. However, when he witnessed Meltdown killing Scarlet, he unleashed the energy into Meltdown, bringing him up to full power. Wolverine arrived and prevented a full disaster by battling with Meltdown, while Havok continued to absorb energy from the reactor. Still on the verge of explosion, Wolverine killed Meltdown by penetrating his body. That's such a bad sentence. Oh, let me read it one more time. If I can do it without giggling, that's great. If not, I'll reread it in a better way. Alright. Wolverine killed Meltdown by I can't do it. Wolverine stabbed him with multiple control rods that slowed down the nuclear reactions raging within him. I'm gonna say stabbing him because I don't know what else they mean, and I have ideas, but I don't want to know. And Havok redirected the nuclear reaction into space. All right, Havok ultimately went through the Siege Perilous with several other X-Men fleeing the Reavers, the cyborg hunters. All right, Havok ended up an amnesiac in Genosha, a country that raised mutants, or that used mutants and genetically engineered slaves called mutates. He became a high-ranking magistrate in the Genosian army, and his fellow X-Men had no idea what had happened to him until during the Extinction Agenda, the Genosian government kidnapped members of the mutant teams X-Men, X-Factor, and the New Mutants. During a pitched battle with Cyclops, Havok's memory returned. Yay! But he kept it a secret, hoping to catch the Genosian leader Cameron Hodge off guard. He succeeded and delivered the killing blow to Hodge, yet he and Wolfsbane decided to remain in Genosha as they wanted to help in rebuilding the once proud nation. Havok and Wolfsbane were soon brought back from Genosha by Professor X and Cyclops as they wanted him to become the leader of the new government-sponsored X-Factor. He reunited with Polaris, and Havok led the team effectively for quite some time. He dealt with the unwitting affection of Wolfsbane, the physical problems of Strong Guy, and various public relation disasters, such as the destruction of the Washington Monument. Speaking of Strong Guy, he is scheduled in the future, maybe a month from now. Because he's a pretty cool character. He doesn't seem like it, but there's a lot to him. Anyways, much of the team's bad image was orchestrated by Mr. Sinister, his nasty boys, and a mutant senator who could cause bad luck. So what would happen if that senator met up with Domino, who has good luck? Who would win? What would happen? Would they just sit there and be normal? Like nothing would happen. Alright, he dealt physically with Random and personally as they clashed for various reasons. He grew in new directions as a leader, once seemingly drinking poison in an effort to buck up the spirits of Strong Guy, who had been poisoned, but what Alex drank had actually been water. So yeah, take that for what it is. Havok and X-Factor were called on to subvert a civil war aggravated by the Pantheon. In this instance, Alex physically challenged the Hulk. Okay, this is pretty cool, guys. He physically challenged the Hulk. He soaked up the various energies that fuel Hulk and used them to bolster his plasma blast, thereby gaining an advantage. It was actually the second time Havok had beaten the Hulk. This dude beat the Incredible Hulk twice. Like, once is kind of a fluke. Twice beat this dude. Like, that's awesome. Keep that in mind. He's stronger than Cyclops. He can rival the living Pharaoh. And he beat the Hulk twice. Like, there's not many heroes that can say that. So that's pretty cool. Alright. During this time, Havok's team participated in the events of the Infinity War and the Infinity Crusade. Alex and Strong Guy participated the most in far-reaching, reality-altering cosmic battles. Multiple men had contracted the legacy virus in Genosha and later chose to undergo a seemingly mystical healing effort. Despite the procedure's previous success with Wolfbane, curing her of her unnatural love for Alex, multiple men perished. This hit Havok hard, as he felt responsible since Madrox was under his command. He left the team for Hawaii, where he and Polaris enjoyed a romantic honeymoon, until Malice, Mr. Sinister, and the Nasty Boys showed up. Now, this isn't like the 90s WWE tag team Nasty Boys. This is someone else who I don't know of, because they probably sucked. Anyways, reinforcements helped Havok and Polaris survive the villains, and shortly afterwards, Strong Guy suffered a heart attack and ended up in stasis, and Wolfsbane left to be with her foster mother. After the Age of Apocalypse event, Havok accidentally destroyed a dam and was forced back into his old containment suit. After new members Wildchild, Shard, and Mystique were introduced to the team, Havok fought random and was captured by the Dark Beast. He was brainwashed into serving Dark Beast in Onslaught, and he broke free of the brainwashing, but used this as an opportunity to infiltrate the enemy, and recreated a version of the Brotherhood of Mutants. He did that before on Genosha. He likes playing dumb, apparently. He's like, I'm gonna act like I'm still under brainwash, but I'm not. He succeeded in defeating Dark Beast and attempted to mend fences with his former X-Factor teammates, specifically Polaris and Multiple Man. The man who had died had actually been a Multiple Man duplicate. Is one of the dupes. So, that's pretty cool. Like, he felt guilty. It pushed him into all these different things, and it turns out that the main hero was okay anyway. So, let's see. While Havok was attempting to reform X-Factor, one of his time-traveling team members, Greystone, created an experimental time travel device to return him to the future. It exploded in midair, seemingly killing Havok and Greystone in front of their teammates. In actuality, though, Havok was cast into a parallel world where he was the leader of a drastically altered version of X-Factor known as the Six. In this world, now this is before the boys where they had the Seven, so they got it first. But what's better than 6-minute abs? 7-minute abs! No, I'm just joking. Anyway, in this world, he was the leader of the original X-Men, and since his brother Cyclops was abducted by the Shi'ar along with his parents, he found he was still married to Madeline Pryor, with whom he had a son named Scotty, and all his friends were twisted versions of the ones he knew. Despite being unfamiliar with this realm, Havok willingly took over the role of father for Scotty, though the boy knew he was not really his dad. Havok becomes leader of the Six, and his adventures in this reality led to a disaster, which leaves most of the superhumans dead. Good job, Havok. Havok is able to save the world itself before being cast into black nothingness. Dang, dude, they just have this guy messing up right and left. Like, he's got more power than Cyclops, but he does not have that tactician's mind. Let's see here. Okay, so he was cast into black nothingness. However, Havok was found back in the original reality in a coma. The X-Men were able to restore his psyche with the help of the son of Havok's nurse. And the nurse's name is Annie Gazikanian. Where he was reunited with Polaris, she asked him to marry her, to which he did not respond. Beast immediately congratulated them, and Havok said nothing further. Luckily, he felt he should want to marry Lorna, but did not love her as he had before. Unknown to Havok, Polaris, and Annie, Carter had used his telepathy to link Annie and Alex's dreams while Alex was comatose. In their dream, Havok and Annie fell in love, and unknown to Alex, but not Annie. Oh, that just seems really complicated. Before his wedding, Scott tested Alex's resolve by hiring a shapeshifter to morph into Annie, something that disturbed Alex very deeply. Yeah, I would too. The night before the wedding, Alex had a dream convincing him that he now loved Annie. During the wedding, Alex stopped the proceedings and called off the marriage. So, I wonder, when Scott Summers hired a shapeshifter to turn into Annie, how did the shapeshifter try to, I guess, test Alex's resolve? Did the shapeshifter try to seduce Havok? Because if that's the case, then that's messed up on Scott's part. Like, I get him wanting to make sure his brother is where he needs to be, but he basically hired a prostitute to seduce Alex. Because how far would it have gone? Like, how far was that shapeshifter willing to go? That's messed up, dude. That's messed up. Like, your family is screwed up. But anyways, Polaris, already affected by the incident at Genosha, tried to kill Annie and Carter, only to be stopped by Juggernaut and Havok. Alex revealed to Annie that it was Carter who linked the two due to their loneliness, and that Alex loved her. Despite the fact that Iceman had started a relationship with Annie, he expressed his feelings for Lorna. So Iceman liked Polaris first, then Alex came along, and then Alex and Polaris. So Iceman was pissed at that. Then Iceman had a relationship with Annie, but it was changed in the dreams for Alex and Annie that they should love each other. So now Alex is trying to take Iceman's girl from him there, which would piss off Iceman. And regardless of his current sexuality, at the time, Iceman was straight. So that is messed up, dude. Like, I genuinely, Havok was one of my favorite mutants back in the day. This is messed up. Like, I'm just sitting there like, man, you're excuse my language, you're a little bitch. Alright. Anyways, Havok and Annie's relationship continued until an impending attack on the X-Mansion at the hands of the new Brotherhood of Mutants led by Exodus. This caused Annie to leave Havok and take her son away from the X-Men, feeling it was no longer safe for the two to live at the mansion. No, you're not going to be in a mansion of superheroes and be safe. It's going to be attacked. That mansion has been destroyed and rebuilt like a dozen times. She wanted Alex to come with them, but his duty was to his team instead of his wife and family or girlfriend, whatever. Dude, so mother and son left for parts unknown. Oh my gosh. Okay, with Annie and Carter now gone, Havok's mind seems to be mending. Since he expressed feelings to resume his relationship with Polaris, who moved on after being rejected and was dating their former boyfriend Iceman, because why not? Why does he want everything Iceman has? During the post-House of M storyline entitled Decimation, many mutants lost their powers. When Polaris revealed that she had lost hers, she left the X-Men, and Havok decided to leave with her. However, after he and Polaris encountered the creature called DAP, during which Lorna was abducted, Havok returned to the X-Mansion to see a Sphinx burying the face of Apocalypse. He then returned to active duty to bring down Apocalypse with the remainder of his squad, composed of Rogue, Iceman, and new member Mystique. Now, I wonder how that team would work. You know, having Iceman underneath of you. Iceman, it can't work well. It can't. Like, this is either building up for other stories, or it's just really bad. It's really bad. Because even if everyone is really cool with it, like, everyone's mature and be like, yeah, you took my girl 3 separate times. There's still, when stresses are high, when you're in battle, there's still going to be this thing where you're like, man, like, I'm not listening to you. F you. Like, you know, like, this is just bad. This is just bad story. Bad storyline. Bad writing. But yeah, it has Rogue, Iceman, and new member Mystique. Havok single-handedly destroyed the antidote to Apocalypse Metaplague. which had been a key element in his plan to decimate the human population. Gambit was turned into a horseman and clashed with Havok and the other X-Men. During the last battle, Iceman struck down Polaris' pestilence form. As her esophagus closed down, Havok administered CPR to save her life, but was infected with the Metaplague. Luckily, Emma Frost had saved some of the antidote that Havok destroyed, because he is just that kind of person. But she had saved some of the antidote that Havok destroyed and cured him with it. Now, there are a lot more stories involving Havok, but they kind of keep bouncing around, and it doesn't really help his character. So I'm just going to stop here on that as far as his history goes. But what do you guys think? Are you in agreement with me? Like, is he just a screw up? Because it seems like that to me. Like, this is the one guy that everyone would really want on their team until he's on their team, and then he messes up. And you're like, oh, why are you so good but so bad? Like, why did we do this? Alright, let's get into his powers. Okay, Havok is a mutant possessing the power to absorb ambient cosmic energy, process it, and emanate it from his body as waves of energy that heat the air in their path, turning it into plasma in the form of a beam with a telltale concentric circular pattern. These waves will emanate from his body in all directions unless he purposefully tries to channel them in a single direction, usually along the lengths of his arms. This results in control over an extremely powerful sort of destructive force. He is immune to the adverse effects of most forms of radiation and heat, and in the past he was not entirely able to control his ability, which made him a danger to those around him unless he wore a special containment suit equipped with special sensors for measuring and controlling his power output. Havok is immune to his own powers and to those of his brother Scott, and he is resistant but not immune to Vulcan's powers, who we should touch on Vulcan at some point. But really, Vulcan, he was just he almost seemed like a blip in the history of Marvel Comics. Now, despite past accounts, the energy that Havok releases is not truly a concussive force. When Havok strikes an object with hot plasma, the sudden temperature jump often causes objects to shatter or disintegrate. Should Havok direct his energy at the lowest level, he can project it forward to human beings, and his target will suffer a severe headache but will not burn up. While his absorption capabilities are normally passive, he can also willingly absorb, store, and reprocess various other energies from other sources through conscious force of will, such as starlight, X-rays, and gamma radiation. So this is how he beat the Hulk. He absorbed the gamma radiation. He once absorbed the whole energies of a collapsing star to fight his brother Vulcan, and actually beat the Hulk twice, once with a tightly focused beam to the forehead, and once by absorbing parts of his gamma energy during an invasion of Transia. So nonetheless, Havok's body is constantly absorbing cosmic radiation. When his body reaches this capacity, excess energy is then immediately re-emitted in negligible quantities. The circle on his chest is an indicator of how much energy he has left. So it's kind of like a Wi-Fi signal, right? Upon the expenditure of all of his available energy, it takes Havok about 17 hours to recharge to peak level under normal circumstances. The concentration involved in releasing his energy in focus beams is exhausting for Havok, especially if he does it over an extended period. So they had to put some kind of limitations. I mean, it's the only fair thing to do over someone this powerful. Havok can also use stored energy for flight by directing it as a downward thrust. At full energy capacity, he has an easier time managing his energized propulsion through his powers. By emanating plasma from his body in directed waves, he can form sort of a shield against projected weapons for a short time. Havok has demonstrated immunity to his brother Cyclops' optic beams, and the same can be said for Cyclops, who has immunity to Havok's power. Havok has the normal human strength, height, and build of a man who engages in intensive regular exercise. Havok is also well educated in the field of geophysical science, where he has earned a master's degree and completed some doctoral work, which he has been trained in hand-to-hand combat and martial arts by Wolverine, and he is an instinctive technician and strategist. You know, we're going to cut that part out because this dude messes up way too many times to be an instinctive technician and strategist. Like, he can be better. He can be better. Maybe he should read Art of War or something a couple times. Excuse me. Let's see. It was also revealed in the Mutant X and Exiles book that his body and mind were a nexus for all other Alex Summers in other realities, and his very existence is sort of a back door to others. This revelation caused the problem in the Uncanny X-Men and Exiles crossover, though not much more is known about his multidimensional status. So, the best way I can describe this is kind of like in the new Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movies. Okay, and then the Spider-Man movie that came out. So, when they pulled Spider-Man from 3 different realities, he was 3 separate people. Like, same identity, but looked different, right? In those movies, you know, you had your Gwen Stacy, who was a couple separate people. In the Multiverse of Madness, Scarlet Witch is the same person throughout, because she is considered a Nexus being. Spider-Man is not considered a Nexus being, but Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange looks the same, or is the same person, I guess, in every universe, because he is a Nexus being. So Alex Summers in every universe would be a Nexus being, and that means if the MCU absorbs all of the other properties, so for instance, in X-Men First Class, we actually have an Alex Summers, right? So that actor would have to be the same in every universe, because that Alex Summers is actually a Nexus being. So he is going to be portrayed by the same actor in every movie. At least that's what this is saying. Whether they hold it true or not is a different story, but that's how it should be. But for like the Fantastic Four, if they absorb all those movies, there's 2 Fantastic Fours, and then there was a Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four in the Multiverse of Madness. We had 3 separate Fantastic Four Reed Richards actors. So all of those, so Reed Richards would not be considered a Nexus being, but he does exist in every universe. Does that make sense? I hope so. If not, maybe you can explain it better in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment on YouTube, because I would love to have a discussion about that. In fact, that might be something like, who are the Nexus beings in the Marvel Universe? But we're going to move past that. Those are his powers. Let's go into fun facts. Havok guest starred in the X-Men animated series episode Cold Comfort. He appears as a member of X Factor and is revealed to be romantically involved with Iceman's ex-girlfriend Polaris, daughter Magneto. Okay, he's in a couple other ones. Let's see here. Havok appeared in the X-Men Evolution animated series, and in the series he was adopted by the Masters family rather than the Blanding family as in the comics. And is portrayed as a stereotypical long-haired surfer, even with the stereotypical surfer accent and speech patterns. Though, like in the comics, he was separated from his brother. I don't know. Like, they do develop a bond. But yeah, he's in X-Men Evolution. There's this whole big paragraph, and I don't want to go into it, because you can watch the cartoon. X-Men Evolution is an excellent animated series. Havok is mentioned in the Wolverine and X-Men episode Breakdown. Alex and Scott's parents were lost in a plane crash in which the brothers were survivors. Scott fell into a coma for 2 years and Alex was adopted. He was to be added in the series as a character, but the series was canceled prior to his appearance in the proposed season 2. Actor Lucas still played Havok in X-Men First Class, so we talked about that, which, you know, like I said, he should be in every X-Men or every movie now as Havok because of that Nexus being. He was also in X-Men Days of Future Past, and X-Men Apocalypse. Havok appeared as a main playable character in X-Men Mutant Academy 2 for the PlayStation. He played, he's a playable character in X-Men 2 Fall of Mutants for the PC. X-Men 3 Mojo World for the Sega Game Gear and Sega Master System. And he appeared as a playable character in X-Men Next Dimension. Havok appeared as a supporting, temporarily playable character through use of a power-up in the Wolverine video game for the NES. Havok also appears as a non-playable character in X-Men Legends, where he's joined forces with the Brotherhood, much to Cyclops' chagrin. Now, the X-Men Legends games are some of my favorite games. Favorite video games ever. I think there was an X-Men version. X-Men Legends. There's also Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They're all pretty much the same kind of games. They're my favorite video games ever. Havok also appears as a non-playable character in X-Men Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse. He appears in the game Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Let's see here. He's a playable character in Marvel Superhero Squad Online. Unlockable character in Marvel Avengers Alliance. Clones based on Havok appear in Deadpool, where the Havok clones fire yellow energy balls instead of blue. Havok appears in Marvel Heroes, Lego Marvel Superheroes, and is a playable character in Marvel Puzzle Quest. Whew. Okay. So that's it for his history, fun facts, powers. What do you guys think of Havok? Are you in the same mindset as me, where it's like, man, he's so powerful, but he just sucks? Let me know. You can comment, like, subscribe on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. Once again, I'm on Instagram and Twitter under Super Deep Dive, and I use the hashtag Superhero Deep Dive. I post superhero memes every so often, so you can find it with that. You can email me directly at b4itall, so b4itall@yahoo.com. But honestly, I get great views with the podcast. I would really appreciate it, you guys. On a personal note, if you guys liked and subscribed on YouTube, play the video in background or something, just because it helps grow that channel and beats the algorithm. It gives it more exposure, and it just helps me out. It gives me that sense of accomplishment on a personal note, so I would appreciate it. Anyways, let's go into power expansions. This is where I go into whether they would make a good series, like comic series, animated series, movie, live action show. Like, what could we do if we did something like that? Who would we cast? What would the storyline be? Anything like that. Like, where can we go with this character? Now, Havok, he's always been one of my favorite X-Men growing up. He could, he had this insane power, and I thought he was at a position where he could venture out on his own or do something great. It just never happened. He's been represented in movies as this tormented soul, but he's been in comics, but they don't really know what to do with him. And I can't imagine him in a live action series. So I want to throw it to you all. Like, what do you think? Where can we go with this character? Where can we go with Havok? Because I'm really stuck. Like, I don't have ideas for a character that could be so amazing. So I need your help. I need you to let me know. The only thing I can think of is that with him, Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch all being Nexus beings, and with the fact that mutants are, if you haven't watched Miss Marvel, I'm sorry for the spoilers. I'm gonna reveal it in 3, 2, 1. With the introduction of mutants being now in the MCU, we could theoretically have him in the MCU as a Nexus being. Have something where him, Scarlet Witch, and Doctor Strange are all going around into the different multiverses doing something. I don't know. I don't know. I wish I knew, but here's also something funny. If Doctor Strange is a Nexus being where, he's the same person throughout every universe, was his then girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever she is, associate Claire, is she also a Nexus being? Because she was portrayed by the same person. Also, one other thing to think of. I don't know if the Black Bolt character was run. I don't know if the Patrick Stewart Professor X character is in the same. If that's considered the same universe as the other X-Men movies. I don't know if the Inhuman series is set in the same universe as where the Black Bolt was in Multiverse of Madness. So we're gonna not include those, but J. Jonah Jameson, portrayed by the same actor in all the movies. So does that mean he is also a Nexus being? If so, wow. That means Nexus beings can be literally anyone, and we have to kind of follow that. So maybe that's a storyline. I don't know. That could be a cool kind of like the What If series where it's in canon but not necessarily in canon. That could be something interesting. What about Coulson? Because they said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't necessarily in the main MCU. Or Nick Fury, because I think he did an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So would they also be Nexus? Like, what if we found the Nexus beings and then had something involving all of them? I don't know. It'd be crazy. What if do you guys remember that Jet Li movie, The One, where he goes and finds different versions of himself in all the different realities and kills them so that energy goes to all the different ones, like all the different Jet Lis, until ultimately there's one Jet Li left and he's the ultimate supreme being? What if they do something like that in the MCU, where they're traveling to different multiverses and killing off their own, or trying to kill off their own Nexus beings, and in doing so, they get stronger. But so if they get stronger, then maybe they can actually rule the multiverse or something. Like, I don't know. That could be something. Maybe. But what'd be funny is that Alex Summers is considered a Nexus being, but Scott Summers isn't. So his own brother isn't. Like just how Quicksilver was done by different characters. So Quicksilver isn't a multiverse or a Nexus being, but Scarlet Witch is. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. I throw it to you because I'm lost. But that's like the best idea I've got. I'm gonna head out for now though. In the meantime, guys, be blessed, be happy, be safe, be smart, and if you're not smart, don't get caught. I will see you next week with Danny Moonstar. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.